if I told you my city was the best, and my city was a threat to the rest. This city's my city, it's my city, I love it, yeah. I was born and raised here, I got it made, and if I have my way, I'm gonna stay.
Well, the Crosstown Cup moves to the north side, and it is a beautiful night. Wind coming in off the lake, warm temperatures, and the Cubs welcome in the White Sox. It is game 3 of this 4-game home-and-home set. Welcome to Cubs baseball here on WGN Sports. Alongside Jim DeShays, I'm Len Casper, and we're going to update the standings in both Central divisions. The Cubs are trying to hold off the St. Louis Cardinals, and the White Sox are trying to get back into playoff contention.
Yeah, questions for the White Sox, whether they're going to be buyers or sellers as the trade deadline nears. They've won 4 in a row, so they're feeling pretty good about things. The Cubs, it's been a rough go here for the better part of a month now, but still holding on to a comfortable 6.5 game lead over the Cardinals. They got off to a nice start here in the second half. They won 3 consecutive series prior to dropping the first 2 games of this series over in Chicago. On the south side of Chicago.
Yeah, it does feel like we're in a different place here. It was enemy territory last night, and the Cubs went 2-3 on the road trip. They have not been scoring early, and this is a team, when they do score early, the Cubs usually win.
Yeah, last 4 games, Cubs have scored a total of 4 runs against opposing starting pitchers, and you see the breakdown there on the road trip. Just 5 runs scored, innings 1 through 6. It made some noise late, and came up just a little bit short in game 1 of this series at the Cell.
Dexter Fowler makes the Cubs offense go, and Adam Eaton has done the same for the White Sox.
Yeah, he's having a heck of a year out in right field. He made the move from center to right. He's been very good defensively. That was a bit of an issue for him last year. Doing a nice job at the top of their batting order. He'll take his walks. He'll hit for a little bit of power. Hit home run number 7 last night, and over the last 6 games, he's been swinging a hot bat.
Cubs opening up an 8-game homestand, and we'll talk about the starting pitching matchup when we return to beautiful Wrigley Field. Cubs baseball is brought to you by Budweiser. Not backing down since 1876. This Bud's for you. Honda. Get the Honda you love at the Honda Summer Clearance Event. Now at your Honda dealer. State Farm. There for you when things go wrong, but also here to help life go right. Talk to an agent today at 800 State Farm. Mattress Firm, where we want you to sleep happy guaranteed. Remember, if it's over 8, it's time to replace. Your Chicago area and Northwest Indiana Lexus dealer. And by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. Let's get the starting pitchers for tonight. Cubs will go with veteran Jason Hamill.
Yeah, very good numbers you see for Jason April through June. Not so much here in the month of July, although a big part of that dismal start he had in New York where he allowed 10 earned runs. Anthony Renato, right-hander acquired by the White Sox earlier this year from the Rangers. At the minor league level, AAA was 6-4 with a 3.03 through 16 starts.
Okay, righties, Renato against Hamill, and we're set for the Cubs hosting the White Sox next. Xfinity X1 will change the way you experience TV. Robin Ventura wrote out this White Sox starting lineup. Love the touch with the baseball cards tonight. Eaton, Anderson, and Cabrera at the top. Abreu, Frazier, and Schuck in the middle. No Justin Morneau. He was the DH first 2 games. Navarro, the catcher, the ex-Cub. Tyler Saladino batting 8th. And the pitcher, Renato, batting 9th.
Cubs defensively, Ben Zobrist makes his 4th start in left field. He was out there last night as well. Fowler center, Hayward right. Infield of Bryant, Russell, Baez, and Rizzo. Miguel Montero behind the plate. And tonight's starting pitcher, brought to you by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois, is Jason Hamill, making his 20th start in pursuit of his 10th win. 9-5 with a .335 for Hamill. Choose Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois, the card to carry through it all.
Umpires tonight, it'll be Hunter Wendelstedt behind the plate, Jerry Lane, the crew chief, at first, Scott Barry at second, Trip Gibson over at third. This is the same crew we saw at U.S. Cellular Field. 85 degrees, but we kind of have a crosswind at the moment, so it's hot, but it's comfortable. And here we go. Hamill, the 33-year-old righty, to Adam Eaton, ball 1.
Jason has won his last 2 starts. Beat the Rangers, and then last time in Milwaukee, beat the Brewers. He has not faced the White Sox in a Cub uniform. The last time he faced them was a relief outing back in 2013.
One and 2 now on Eaton. Cardinals have a 3-1 lead at the Mets. They're in the 4th inning there, and we will keep you up to date. Swing and a miss. Strike 3.
Good start for Hamill as he busts his fastball right over the heart of the plate. Eaton can't get to it. Fastball, slider, curve, and occasional change for Jason. More two-seamers than four-seamers. And a good ground ball pitch for him.
Rookie Tim Anderson rolls to Russell, the shortstop, and he's got him. Two up, two down, and here comes Melky Cabrera, who has an 11-game hitting streak. White Sox winning 4 in a row, wearing the 1983 throwbacks at home, but they don't have the road version, so
they're in deep trouble.
Uniforms have been a big topic for the White Sox over the last week, and will be again tomorrow night when Chris Sale returns from his suspension. Fastball misses on Cabrera. Huge crowd tonight. They got here early.
Cabrera, his hitting streak going, and he's made a couple of sparkling defensive plays in this series. Took a home run away from Chris Bryant the other night.
Missed again. It's 3-0. Jose Abreu is on deck.
Switch hitter, pretty good from both sides. Very good from both sides. 342 as a right-handed hitter. 291 from this side.
And he walked him. Here comes the White Sox first baseman. Game-winning RBI single in the opening inning last night. 3 for 7 in the series. I'm calling it a 4-game series.
Yeah, that's the way I feel.
Rizzo holds on the runner at first. Cabrera fake towards second. Curveball misses. Another night game tomorrow, then the Mariners and Marlins for 3-game series.
Well, Montero's had a real tough time throwing out base stealers this year, but even with that, I'd be really surprised to see Melky Cabrera try to run.
He's missed now on 6 in a row. What is the absolute limit on consecutive balls after which a catcher has to go to the mound? It's 6, right? You would never wait for 7 in a row.
Yeah, because once you're 3-0 on the next guy, that'd be pretty much over.
It's too late.
Yeah, can't really have an impact. As a catcher, you just say, well, we'll have this conversation after this particular at bat ends, one way or the other. Whoop, he's really out of sync here with his delivery. Hanging back on that backside, not finishing, not getting through it.
Yeah, those pitches are elevated. They're all breaking balls. Never where you'd want those pitches to end up. Three and right down the middle.
Abreu's been swinging it well of late. The power numbers down for the year. Coming off a nice homestand.
The kick and the pitch, swing and a miss. Action time, 3-2.
really good driving the ball the other way. He'll take that pitch on the inner half and hit it hard to right center, but I think you got to make sure you do your work in on him.
Swing and a miss. Good comeback by Hamill.
What a visit by Montero.
2-out walk to Cabrera. He went 3-0 on Abreu before coming back to strike him out. Starting a lineup, Fowler in the leadoff spot. Chris Bryant back in the field tonight. He DH'd last night. Rizzo, Zobrist, Montero moving up. He's heating up. Addison Russell, the shortstop. Jason Hayward batting 7th for the first time this year. Baez, the second baseman. And Jason Hamill at 250 will hit 9th.
White Sox in the field. Melky Cabrera, a very strong, accurate arm. We've seen that on display. Shuck center. Adam Eaton has been really good in right. Frazier, Anderson, Saladino, Abreu. You'd have to rate that infield as below average defensively. Deanna Navarro, the veteran, will do the catching. And Anthony Renato, 26-year-old right-hander. He's a big fella, 6'7", 240. And you're looking at his major league resume: 13 games, 9 starts, 5-4 with a 633.
It's the first pitch he has thrown as a member of the White Sox. Came up with Boston and has pitched a little bit with the Rangers. 2-0 on Fowler.
A couple relief appearances with the Rangers earlier this year. Traded from Boston to Texas January of last season, and then from the Rangers to the Sox in May of this year.
We'll see that elevated fastball a fair amount.
Yeah, and it's a small sample. 58 in the third big league innings. He's allowed 59 hits, but 2 things get your attention: a lot of home runs, 13 home runs in 58 innings, and more walks than strikeouts. That may just be a function of a young guy not trusting his stuff at this level, or maybe a guy who really struggles with command.
And we just walked Dexter Fowler to start it. Renato in for Jacob Turner, the former Cub. He had a couple of rough outings, but he's in their bullpen. And Joe Madden noting the last 4 nights, Cubs facing pretty similar pitchers. Right-handers who don't throw terribly hard, good change-ups, and they were all pretty good, including James Shields, who combined on a shutout last night. Cubs only had 4 hits. He went 7 2/3. Chris Bryant in a rough night against Shields. 0 for 4. He struck out 3 times. Popped up Abreu in foul territory for the first out. Now Anthony Rizzo. White Sox shift on the infield. Todd Frazier basically playing short. And the pitch. This is outside. Both these guys were drafted by the Red Sox.
That's
Anthony
correct, yeah.
Rizzo and Anthony Renato.
Renato, a supplemental pick, 39th overall in 2010.
He's from New Jersey, Belmar, St. Rose High School. Threw 2 no-hitters as a sophomore, and then in the state title game that season hurled a 2-hit shutout and hit a 3-run homer. In the dirt, loved by Navarro. 2 balls, no strikes. Pretty decent high school career, which you can normally say about just about every big leaguer. Renato 21-4 with a 1.44. and hit over 400. Was a terrific basketball player as well. 6'7", 240.
And he was president of the student council. In a pinch, he'd lend you some lunch money. An all-around fine gentleman. Was in a bit of a bind here, 3-0 on Anthony Rizzo.
Fowler at first, 1 out. And 2 base runners on walks.
Yeah, I think Anthony normally would look to be aggressive in that situation, but with Renato out there, limited experience, they haven't seen much of him, and the reputation is that he struggles with command. I think patience, the buzzword for the Cub hitters. Try to get a little something going early. They just have not done any damage recently against starting pitchers.
Yeah, it feels like they've been a little more anxious as of late, maybe pressing, not scoring a ton of runs. And if you go back to the early part of the season when they were blowing people out, they put a chokehold on a lot of starting pitchers. Got that pitch count up in the first 2 or 3 innings. So here's Zobrist. And he takes a strike. Time for our Lexus Run Predictor, brought to you by your Chicago area and Northwest Indiana Lexus dealer. Cubs better than league average. Getting something done with runners at first and second, 1 out. Or at least at some point in the inning in this situation.
And the other thing, when you look at the minor league numbers for Renato, he's been much more of a fly ball pitcher than a ground ball pitcher, so you're less concerned about the ground ball double play. Knock on wood.
You know, and I say not scoring a ton of runs. I would say it's more inconsistent than anything. If you go back to July 17th against Texas, Cubs scored 1-5-1, 6-5-1, 6-4-0. So it's felt a little all or nothing here lately. Pulled foul. They were shut out last night for the first time in 49 games. Foul again. Zobrist is in left tonight. We possibly could see Jorge Soler back off the disabled list this weekend. When the Mariners are in, he's on his rehab assignment currently at AA Tennessee. So that could affect some playing time. Cubs have a lot of moving parts defensively. Little tapper, Renato off the mound, and we'll get Zobrist second and third, 2 outs. Contreras has been playing some left and catching. Zobrist, Bryant, they can play corner spots in the outfield. Javi Baez has been so hot, you know, Joe doesn't want to take him out of the lineup. These are good problems to have. Yeah, well, and you know, Contreras out of the lineup for the second consecutive night. Joe just trying to give him a little rest. When Soler comes back, he's going to play some left field. That means Contreras will probably catch a little bit more. And from Miguel Montero's point of view, he's starting to swing it a little bit better here of late. It comes at a perfect time for him as he continues to press his case. The other thing Soler's return may do is allow Joe to give Jason Hayward the occasional day off against the really tough lefty as he continues to try to get out of his season-long slump. Because while he has remained an everyday player, and I have not asked Joe about this, there may be a time here in the next couple of weeks, JD, where if he's starting to feel good, you don't want him to go backwards with an 0 for 4 against a tough lefty. Just keep putting him into favorable situations as much as possible. 1-0, misses. 2-0 on Montero. And that's the tough part because he's such an asset defensively. The primary focus with Jason now is just trying to get the bat going. Ground ball into shallow right. That's where Saladino is, and that's the inning. Cubs cannot take advantage of 2 walks. We are scoreless after 1. Me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd. I can't take my eyes off you, JD. It's big time choreography. You got that look. Yeah. Stay tuned. 7th inning stretch brought to you by Budweiser. I think it's Charles Peanut Tillman tonight, right? And if you'd like to sing the stretch here at Wrigley, you can upload your video at 7thinningstretchcontest.com or buy tickets for the next Bud Friday in the bleachers. And you can try out like we did, not backing down since 1876. This Bud's for you. Marquette representing Dwayne Wade. He must be dealing with some cramps. The newest Bull. that one off the glove of Bryant. That screamer off the bat of Todd Frazier. And that'll be the first hit of the night.
Frazier able to drop the head on that two-seam fastball that was moving in on him. That wasn't the intended target. You can see Montero was set up outer third. Jason misses his spot. Frazier makes him pay.
So occasionally we have charity auction items that include a visit to our booth to watch. And this is young Maxwell Copans. He's got a Kerry Wood jersey on. He's eating his ice cream sandwich. And he's just hanging with us and watching Cubs baseball. Wave right there. You're on TV, Maxwell. He's got the whole jersey. He's got the
whole uni on.
The entire Cubs uniform on. And he's now asking my partner questions.
He doesn't have the socks.
Oh,
for the
no
record,
socks.
yeah.
Okay.
Clarified that.
Got it. 1-0 on J.B. Shuck. They did give Frazier a hit.
Oh, yeah, that's a rocket. That's a knock.
Hoisted to left. Zobrist with that wind had to kind of change direction as he makes the grab. That'll bring up Deanna Navarro.
Yeah, you can't sleep on Frazier down there at first base. He can run a little bit. Stole a base last night. 8 out of 10 this year for Frazier. And normally a hot summer night here, you think, well, we're not going to take chances on the bases. We're just going to try to hit the ball out of the ballpark. But as Len mentioned earlier, the wind is blowing in. So he's not particularly hitter friendly here tonight.
Navarro is switch batter. And Hamill throws. Frazier was maybe 5 inches off the base. And Hamill made that throw.
He was trying to catch him as he made his departure.
And Frazier is out.
Jerry Lane brings him up. Frazier pressing his case. No really need to argue. He could just go to the video and review it if you want. Frazier pressing his case.
You want to do it or should I?
Go.
Down goes Frazier. I've done it before, but it never gets old, does it?
No. Well, let's see. Will Frazier get back up? Frazier's safe.
He's safe.
Back comes Frazier.
It was a low blow according to the officials. Controversy reigns here at Wrigley Field.
The ineptitude of it all.
So Robin has challenged and he will win that challenge.
Yeah, I believe so. Frazier likes that delayed steal. He's not a real speedster. So I'm trying it there. Modest lead. Then he gets his feet cooking and tries to time the first move of the pitcher. Got a lot of momentum headed towards second base, so he has to spin and throw himself back to the base. And just got that outside corner before the tag.
Hamill still has not thrown a pitch to Navarro.
Hamill's got quick feet. Picked off Jonathan Villar of the Brewers in his last start.
Blowing outside, 4-1. Terrell slides toward the outside. Missed again, this time a backdoor curve.
Be careful not to let the base runner influence your delivery too much. Get in a hurry to deliver that ball and you get out of whack with your mechanics. Navarro, a Cub in 2013, had a nice year. 89 games, hit 300, had an OPS of 857.
A lot of this done when he was a Cub, but 315 lifetime in this ballpark.
Hit 13 home runs that year, had a .492 slugging percentage. Best of his career.
Called strike, 2-1.
Career that includes an all-star season with Tampa in 2008. Got a lot of Tampa ties here, don't we?
Yes.
Navarro and Hamill, Shields last night.
2-2. Keeping a very close watch on Todd Frazier. Hamill ready. There it is. Almost foul past Darrell Boston at first. Cubs are walking too many people. Last 5 games going into tonight, 23 walks, just over 42 innings. Walks and home runs, though. Has been an issue lately. Hamill gave up 3 homers the first 2 months combined, but has allowed 12 since the start of June. Left center, it's Zobrist, and he makes the catch.
Hey, Cub fans, let's go. Tickets are available, especially for the Marlins series, August 1st through the 3rd. Don't miss the action at Wrigley Field. Visit Cubs.com to get your tickets today. So that would be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday with the Fish, and perhaps Ichiro will still be shy of 3,000 hits for that series.
He is 3 away. He did not get into their 11-1 win over the Phillies today. And yeah, I admit it, I'm a little selfish. If he's going to get 3,000, which he will, why not here? Tyler Saladino swings and misses.
The home run issue for Hamill has been a bit of a problem lately. Of course, 5 of those home runs came in that start at New York on July 1st. The worst start of his career. He allowed 5 home runs, 10 runs total. He wiped that one out, and he has pitched to a .261 ERA this year.
One and one. Saladino, game-ending RBI single in the 9th on Monday. Bases loaded walk, 0 for 2 last night. And he might get settled in. Brett Laurie was placed on the disabled list today with his sprained hamstring. He had missed 5 consecutive games before they made that official move. 1-2. 15 games on the major league schedule. 7 of those are of the interleague variety. including the Nationals winning at Cleveland 4-1 today.
Step off.
Runner goes. Saladino in the air to right. Hayward drifting in. And the inning comes to an end. Inning and a half in. 0-0. A long-time radio engineer Ed Murphy passed away. If you have been to Bulls games, baseball games here in town, you probably saw Ed at some point. He has been a fixture at all of the great sports venues here in Chicago. A very sweet, gentle man, and always kept it light as we remember Ed Murphy. Here's Addison Russell. Thanks to Chuck Swirsky, by the way, for that photo. Nothing, bottom 2. High ball to right. And it's Adam Eaton to make the catch.
Cub fans, if you want to manage the game along with Joe Madden, log on to WGNTV.com right now. Click on the WGN Sports Game Zone banner to connect to all the up-to-the-minute stats and information while you watch at home. Game Zone is sponsored by The Great Escape, pools, patio furniture, hot tubs, and more. Everything you need to have more fun at home this summer.
One strike on the struggling Jason Hayward. Up for some early work with his hitting coach John Maley today. And a line shot out in the deep left. Cabrera on the warning track, and he's got it. Well struck, but for an out. Cubs are celebrating Bud Fridays in the Budweiser bleachers all season long. This Friday, Budweiser will provide a Cubs scoreboard tank top to up to the first 5,000 early arriving fans 21 and older in the Budweiser bleachers, and a left-hander in the booth too. Get here early for details. Visit Cubs.com/Fridays. You're wearing yours, aren't you?
What's that?
Your tank top?
I haven't gotten it yet.
Friday?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Strike one on Baez.
Tank tops and flip-flops.
Reynaldo basically just turns and fires.
And this is the first time I've seen him pitch, if I can only speculate. And maybe there used to be a little bit more going on with that delivery, and they've just tried to simplify it. So he can stay online and find the strike zone a little bit more frequently. That's where he likes to go when he's looking for a punch out, the elevated fastball.
Out, check swing, and a foul. Two and two.
Pitched collegiately at LSU.
Bouncer to third, Frazier. And the Cubs go in order, no hits. They've walked twice, but no runs yet.
For the Subway third inning triple play promotion, text Subway 3 to 97999. Do it now. The 300th texter will win a $30 gift card to a Subway restaurant in the Chicagoland area. Subway, fresh is what we do. Terracotta Warriors are here. This Monday, Cubs battle the Fish. First pitch 7:05, and up to the first 10,000 early arriving fans will receive a Chris Bryant Rookie of the Year bobblehead presented by Wintrust Community Banks. Tickets are still available. Cubs.com to get your ducats.
Yeah, why don't we hear ducats more often? D-U-C-A-T-S. Same as tickets. Renato hitless in his major league career in 7 tries. Told you could hit in high school. This isn't high school.
I could hit in high school.
Fastball strike from Hamill. 1-1 the count. Fouled back out of play. Good contact, and Baez apparently didn't catch it. He was waiting for a call from Jerry Lane He gave the safe sign as if to indicate the ball hit the dirt, so he threw to first. And I think they were correct. What do you think?
Yeah, I thought it skipped. Javi obviously thought he caught it in the air, but yeah, it looked like a little short hop. Checking around. Anybody going to call this? Well, upon further review, I'm not so sure.
Up the middle, it's Russell to get Eaton. Eaton does not look anywhere close to 100%. I don't know if he tweaked something there. We have not seen him at 100% because of some nagging injuries, but he looked particularly uncomfortable down the line that time. What about here?
Slow going, heading back. Would not be surprised to see him come out of the ball game. Some with good contact skills, or at least the ability to go out and get balls out of the zone. He has struck out a lot, but he never walks. Did not walk much as a minor leaguer. He has the lowest strikeout rate among all major league players, at least with at least 100 plate appearances.
Line center field, Fowler can't quite get there. Play it on a bounce. 2-out single for Tim Anderson. Cabrera walked in the first.
Yeah, I think sooner or later Anderson's going to try to steal second base here. Robin Ventura would probably prefer it be sooner rather than later to give Cabrera a chance to drive him in.
Anderson got a good jump and cannot put that one on Montero. I think he's had his throwing issues at times this year, but he had no prayer.
Yeah, and you know the numbers are pretty ugly. That's steal number 45 with Miggy catching, and only 3 have been caught. But his throwing has been better lately. But that was all about the jump there. And a lot of it too is this is a staff that is not particularly good at holding base runners.
One and one. In that Nationals 4-1 win today in Cleveland, it was Steven Strasburg who got the win. He's 14-1, coming off his first loss of the year. Got right back in that win column. His record since August 8th of last year is 20-3.
If you're in a short series against the Nationals, if you are the Nationals, if you're Dusty Baker, who do you hand the ball to for game 1? Assuming everybody's good to go.
Well, what we saw Max Scherzer do against the Cubs, I don't know if you can go wrong. Those two guys. Cabrera strikes out. Who would you pick?
Scherzer.
Okay. Hey, the Hall of Famers from Rockford. They're called Cheap Trick. 0-0. Check out the Cubs baseball blog at WGNTV.com. The blog is sponsored by Jeff Vukovich, your nationwide insurance agent serving the area for 38 years. To join the nation, contact Jeff at jeffvuk.com. Nationwide is on your side. Fastball strike on Jason Hamill.
Pull anything.
Frazier makes the play. During the inning break, they had a shot of Dwayne Wade and his wife Gabrielle Union and a huge ovation. So back in his hometown with the Chicago Bulls. "34 years old.
Did you sign my cake? Oh no.
As a Marquette alum, have to thank Dwayne for helping elevate that program.
They must have had some good years when he was there.
Oh yeah.
Does he know the secret handshake? You guys have
I don't know if there is one. Swing and a miss by Fowler.
Well, I'm sure the hope for the Cubs was let's ambush this inexperienced guy early on. He had a couple of walks in the first. They weren't able to take advantage of it. His command has not been good. Fastball command, you see so many times where Navarro sets up, the pitch doesn't end up there, but it looks like he's starting to get feel for his breaking pitches. So maybe that fastball command will follow.
The 1-2, and he struck him out swinging. It's his first strikeout. Wednesday, August 3rd at 1:20. The Cubs will conclude their series and homestand with the Marlins. Up to the first 10,000 early arriving fans will receive Cubs graphic socks presented by StubHub. It's very graphic. For more information, visit Cubs.com.
Really, by the end of the year, you could have an entire outfit. With their tank top, the pajama bottoms, the graphic socks, bucket hat,
camo apron.
On the camo apron.
Bryant fouls.
In 16 games back to July 5th since Chris last hit a home run in a regular season game. He got one in the All-Star games. Been getting his hits though. Tough night for him last night against Shields, who seems to have his number. So Renato, you mentioned Joe earlier talking about seeing similar type pitchers here over these last few days. Renato is not a changeup guy. He's more fastball breaking ball and likes to elevate the heater.
Two balls, two strikes.
Somebody would say perhaps Chris Sale got a hold of that guy's hat, but you're not going to catch me making that cheap joke. Nope, no sir. Not my style.
cut it out.
I noticed in their notes he was scratched from his last start. Doesn't say why.
Ground ball. Anderson's got it. And the Cubs go quietly. He has retired 8 in a row. Hashtag Bud Fridays. That's a handle. You can find us on Twitter. Not a handle. It's where you go to send your selfie, your Cubs selfie, for possible placement in our Bud fan cam a little later. Some more Cheap Trick. And the boys are watching on the tour bus tonight, rooting on the Cubs. Moving into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame this year. Curveball outside to Abreu. Swing and a miss. 1-1. Popped him up. Hayward straddling that foul line, makes the catch for the out. Tigers went into Boston and swept the Red Sox. 4-3 the final today. Miguel Cabrera hit the big home run in the 9th. The Red Sox swept for the first time this year, the last team to be swept in a series of any length. How about that? They went into late July before getting swept.
Yeah, that's interesting because they've had some issues with their pitching, so you would think that would have happened before now.
So I get the 5-year waiting period for the Hall of Fame on some level. But like Miguel Cabrera, what are we waiting for?
Put him in right now while he's active.
Or the day he retires. I mean, the year he retires, just put him in. What's the debate? Why wait?
I thought you were talking about Cheap Trick when you brought up the Hall of Fame.
Well, they're same boat, but am I right? I mean,
the 5-year thing? I don't know. Let's dig in. Let's find out.
He's upper echelon Hall of Fame is what I'm saying.
Sure, yeah. There's no doubt.
They're all Hall of Famers, but he's 95% plus first ballot.
Is it because they don't want the ballot to be too clogged? They don't have too many guys out there at one time? I don't know.
Some separation to more properly evaluate the career.
Maybe.
I think the other part is you don't want a guy to return and become active.
Right.
Well, I'm not really sure why. To have an active Hall of Famer, that'd be all right. Two and two on Frazier.
I think that would be a good homework assignment. What's Leo doing? Is he busy this summer?
What's the assignment?
An essay, the hows and whys of the Hall of Fame. Why do they do things they do? And he can give us a bunch of bullet points and we can break it down.
Okay.
Better than mowing the lawn.
Frazier with a gapper. Hayward will pick it up. It's a double. He's 2 for 2. Let's step aside and see what's coming up on WGN. Great to have you with us tonight. White Sox Cubs from beautiful Wrigley Field. Our executive producer Bob Vorwald brings up a good point. You'd have to miss a game for the induction ceremony if you're active. So yeah, I mean,
but
it would be
worth
worth
it.
it.
Good, like the next year after a guy retires, put him in. Frazier, 2 real good swings here tonight. A single double.
That's a strike, 1-1. And J.B. Shuck. Sox have 3 hits. Frazier has 2. Cubs without a hit through 3 against Anthony Renato, who's making his Wrigley Field debut. One and 2.
Jason 9-5. If he wins tonight, it will be obviously his 10th win, and it will be the 5th time in his career he has reached 10 wins. He has not won more than 10 in a single season. 10-game winner in 2009, 10, and then to the last 2 seasons.
Outside, Dave brings up a good point. What if you get in the Hall of Fame when you're active and then you're terrible? Can they vote you out? Yeah, how about that? We put you in and we can take you out.
I like
so you
that.
better maintain your excellence. We've got all kinds of ideas. Many of them bad ones. He walked him. 1st and 2nd. And then we'll bring up Navarro.
It's only the 6th walk that J.B. Shuck has worked this year. Not as extreme as Anderson, but rare to see J.B. work a walk. At least this year. His career profile says otherwise, but he's not been walking. Hot, humid night. Sometimes difficult to get the grip on the baseball. So Jason frequently trying to wipe his hand on his pant leg, going to the rosin bag. And you don't get a grip. That's what happens with the breaking pitch.
It hasn't hurt him yet, but he's had a good handful of non-competitive pitches. That is, pitches that are nowhere near the strike zone.
Yeah, he's had some of those, and he's also had, you know, a few where he's trying to go down and away, and he leaves it out over the middle of the plate. Abreu in this at bat for one.
Fly ball out in the deep center. It is Fowler just on the edge of the track. Frazier will tag. They're at first and third with 2 outs. The wind has kind of died down.
And on a wind blowing out night, the ball may leave the ballpark.
And it's Saladino. He flied to right in the second.
Good play there by Fowler, getting that ball back into second base. Don't get tempted to try to make a heroic throw on Frazier. There's 2 outs in the inning. The priority becomes keeping that back runner out of scoring position. Situation here, you got the pitcher on deck. You can be very careful with Saladino if you want, but for me, it's early enough in the ball game where I'd rather feel confident that I can get an 8-hole hitter out and have the pitcher leading off the next inning. Too early in the game to start tiptoeing around hitters, especially with the pitcher on deck. And even though the Cubs have been struggling offensively over these last few games, they have to feel like they can get to Renato.
1-2. Looking to make a big pitch here with 2 on and 2 down.
Strike to ball slider moving outside the grid there. Maybe the put away pitch if you have confidence to execute the pitch. Well, he tried it. Saladino didn't chase.
50th game this year for Saladino. 68 appearances in his major league debut season last year.
Everything's been away so far. Do they take a shot in? Dylan Bundy, one of the top pitching prospects in the game for the Orioles tonight, was perfect through 5 1/3. And then he went walk, homer, homer to the Rockies.
Tough league.
Yeah, these big leaguers are pretty good.
Rockies lead 3-1 in the 8th.
Real good young pitcher going for them. John Gray for the Rocks tonight.
Swing and a miss. So Hamill makes that big pitch. It's a slider to get Saladino. He has fanned 4 through 4, and the Cubs try to get on the board first when we come back.
What's wrong with being confident?
ride with Cubs checking and an official Cubs MasterCard debit card only available at your local Wintrust Community Bank. Go to wintrust.com/Cubs to learn more. Member FDIC. Nice job by Hamill to get out of the first and third spot in the top of this fourth inning. Cubs will have 3, 4, 5. That's Rizzo, Zobrist, and Montero against Anthony Ronaldo in his White Sox debut. Ball one, a bit high. I mentioned Ronaldo pitched for LSU. He got the win in the 2009 College World Series title game. Made the all-tournament team as well. Some had him projected early as the second best prospect in the 2010 draft behind only Bryce Harper, but injuries, which led to some ugly numbers during his junior year, hurt his standing. Sent down 8 in a row. 2 base runners for the Cubs, both first inning walks.
Not a lot of hard contact. Hayward hit the ball very sharply to left field for an out. I got him. Apparently not.
He reacted like it hit him. Just missed.
Anthony would like another whack at that one right there. Surprised to see him take that 3-1 heater.
Going back to that 3-1, you think sometimes guys get surprised that they're challenged? They just assume they won't be?
Absolutely.
And the second strikeout for Ronaldo. Here's Zobrist.
Hitters play hunches. Certain pitch, certain count, they're looking in the zone. A lot of times they're looking 70-30 on a fastball. And it's tough for the modern hitter now because pitchers have gotten so savvy and so unwilling to give in. That's why you see so many guys get the 3-0 green light, because that's the one time you can normally count on a fastball.
Pulled down the ground right to Saladino. 10 straight retired by the White Sox righty. Hey, Cubs fans, let's go. Join the Cubs season ticket holder waiting list today to claim your spot in our lineup for season tickets. It's easy and free to register. For details, visit Cubs.com/waiting list. Former teammates having a little fun. Outside. Montero hitting 5th tonight.
The 1-3-1 zone trap deployed. Saladino way out there in right field.
You won't see an infielder playing much deeper than he is at the moment. Well, the last time up, Montero hit it right where Saladino is, on the ground.
The new analytic when evaluating a second baseman, does he have enough arm to play shallow right field and still throw somebody out?
I was going to say, is there a certain point where Eaton can cheat even more toward right center? Ball in the air long enough, Saladino might even be able to get to the warning track. He walked him. First base runner since Rizzo's walk in the first. Padres avoided the sweep with an 8-4 win in Toronto. They also hit 3 home runs. You know, they've homered in at least one homer in 25 straight games.
I had no idea they've done that.
Rangers have the record. 2002, homered in 27 straight.
You're talking about the San Diego Padres.
The Pods.
The Fighting Friars. Padres are 6th in the National League in home runs. I find that surprising. Former Padre Jed Jerko, he hits one a day for the Cardinals these days, so it seems.
Twice in a week he homered in both ends of a doubleheader. Cardinals lead 3-1 at New York. They're in the bottom of the 7th.
It's Wainwright and Verrett in that ball game.
Abreu makes the catch. Still no runs through 4. Let's go to Zion, Illinois. Shoes. Fifth Third Bank now get access to over 45,000 fee-free ATMs nationwide.
Faux fum.
Renato no-hitting the Cubs through 4 tonight as he bats. We're in the 5th, and he cranks one out into deep right, and that ball is gone. Are you kidding me? Anthony Renato with his first major league hit, and it's a go-ahead home run. I said, well, this isn't high school, but it doesn't matter. He's made contact twice, and good contact.
That big, strong guy, and he drives this ball out of the ballpark the other way. It's just an ambush. I mean, it's a center cut fastball, but it's the opposing pitcher. You don't think you have to be all that discerning. Well, halfway to a historic night. No hits allowed and a solo home run.
Man. Look out, Rick Wise. Well, we got a long way to go.
Yeah, the Owlman 2 home runs and a no-hitter.
One and one the count.
Maybe looking pitch, maybe a little low.
Mark Burley homered 5 seasons ago, the last Sox pitcher to homer before Renato tonight. Hamels 1-2, and it's even. Zobrist is in, only one-hander. Got our Budweiser 7th inning stretch coming up in about the 7th, and it'll be Charles Peanut Tillman coming full circle. That was the first pitch he threw out in Milwaukee. We saw him on the south side. He's making a big league ballpark tour, singing tonight.
And more appearances than Travis Wood. Well, I guess it's a good thing they didn't pitch around Saladino with Renato coming up last inning.
Foul tip. It's 1-2. When the Cubs score first, they're 41-10. So, doing the quick math, they are 18-30 when they don't. Now, that's not a terribly surprising statistic. Generally, you score first, you win, but they have not been scoring early lately. And
yeah, and you know, some managers over the years have adopted the philosophy of playing for a run early in the ball game, and that becomes their defense. Well, teams that score first score a lot of run, or win a lot of ball games, but if you break it down, in teams that score 1 run first don't win quite as often as teams that put a crooked number up early.
Right. Jim Leland would bunt in the first inning, right, to get that first run.
Jimmy Williams, when he was managing the Astros, used to do it a lot.
a happy young Cub fan. Golfed into left center. Fowler makes the grab and the inning is over. Anthony Ronaldo with a leadoff homer. It's 1-0.
Cubs baseball is brought to you by Budweiser, not backing down since 1876. This Bud's for you.
Our producer Mark Brady going through his baseball card collection. So that's why a lot of the Cubs and White Sox we saw earlier were from the similar era. And there's your card, JD.
Mark was going through the shoebox.
Your 87 card.
See if the wind is still blowing out.
No, no, no. You got to keep it. How many of those do you have?
I've got.
Got a few?
Yeah, I got 2.
Mint condition.
Yeah. I have my bedroom is papered, wallpapered with these.
Why don't you sign it and then flip it?
Okay.
That's the way he checks the win. 1-0 on Jason Hayward. By the way, Mark Burley, it was 2009 when he hit his home run. The last White Sox pitcher to go deep.
I have my Digger Phelps autographed Sharpie.
Chopper to Abreu. He surrounds it. An auto to first.
And you're going to notice that after I throw this card out there, it's going to change the whole karma of this game. Stay on it. See, the wind's blowing in.
There it is.
Just fluttering down there. Some poor unsuspecting soul is going to go, it's a baseball card. I hope it's Rizzo. And then they're going to look at it and go, oh, God.
Did that end up in a beer?
If it did, I win a goldfish.
That's your business card. You're going to win free lunch. Strike to Baez. Deep center, and it's run down by Shuck.
The better struck balls for the Cubs here tonight, but they remain hitless. Do kids still collect baseball cards?
I don't know the answer to that.
I mean, obviously some still do, but
my guy's not a big sports fan. He's 15. I still have a lot of my old cards. I've got a few Ozzie Smith rookie cards somewhere in my parents' basement, where I did not spend my entire childhood and my 20s.
I remember having this plastic locker kind of thing that I got from, Harriet Carter magazine or something, and it had each team and a slot for each team. So you put all your, your Braves in there, and your Cubs in there, and your Mets in there. It was amazing how many times on a hot summer day you could pull that out and just pull the same old cards out time after time and rifle through them.
Hamill has not homered this year, but he is batting .250. He's coming in. Average going down. He's 0 for 2. Cubs without a hit through 5. More Hall of Fame music and more baseball cards. League play highlighted here. Sox, Seattle, back to National League play for the Miami Marlins series, and then to the Coliseum in Oakland next weekend. It's brought to you by Ford, inviting you to visit your local Ford store or localfordstores.com. Happy 9th birthday, young man. We are in the 6th inning. 1 strike on Jose Abreu. Ed and Fred Kilcullen are here with their sister Betty Young tonight. They have been Cub fans since the 50s. Great to have them here at Wrigley Field tonight. Craig and Aaron Bettenhausen, Frankfort, Illinois, celebrating their 20th anniversary. Cubs were over shifting to the left. Baez playing near second base, so big hole over there for Abreu.
Yeah, trying to beat him with a high fastball, but it's out over the plate a little bit, and that plays to his strength. The ability to get on top and drive that ball the other way. He's quite good at it. It's in a little bit, maybe up a little bit more. Could be a pop-up or a swing and miss. Red Sox with a 1-run lead and looking for more. Frazier's been on adjacent twice here tonight. A single double, and both balls really hit hard.
Nothing in one on Frazier. 2 hits tonight, 3-run homer on Monday. Got a nice note from Joan Shields. Joan says not related to James. She's from Barrington, Illinois. And she sent us a cool picture from Ladies' Day in 1932 here at Wrigley Field. Her grandmother's Sophie Hoffman and her daughter Rose DeJean. A picture that is actually in Cooperstown at the Baseball Hall of Fame. Joan actually here at the ballpark tonight. Ladies' Day 1932. That picture courtesy of Chicago Historical Society.
Everybody, all the gentlemen wearing their bowlers.
Yep.
Going east and west, in and out on Frazier. Doubling up inside. There's a slider away that he banged into the alley in right center last time. So Jason making sure they make him cognizant of both sides of the plate. I don't see many curveballs tonight. That may be the one early on that he really struggled to get the feel for. He may have just shelved that pitch.
Could be 2. 5-4-3.
He took it off the shelf. At an opportune time, he got the ground ball with the breaking pitch. Well, nice work moving that fastball in and out, then flips the curveball up there, and there's your State Farm double play. 5-4-3.
Double play replay brought to you by State Farm. Combine your car and home insurance with State Farm and save. Find an agent at statefarm.com. Strike 1 on Shuck.
Interesting the way Baez turned that double play. Behind the base as he received the throw, then stepping to the base as he made the throw to first.
Yeah, he was very deliberate to make sure, I think, that he got the bag. Bryant ends up backing up. And a high throw. Rizzo stays on first. Time to get a hit. Top of the order coming up. White Sox debut with his first major league hit, an opposite field home run.
And what a thrill for Renato, pitching no-hit baseball and going deep. It's like a dream night for him so far. First ever appearance at this historic ballpark. And he is, without doubt, the man of the match.
Dexter Fowler. High rainbow into center. It's Shuck. Let's step aside and see what's coming up on WGN. Glenn and JD and our WGN crew. Nice work. Dan Roan on the leadoff man tonight. 1-0 White Sox. They won both games on the south side.
The Cub hitters have to tell themselves, can't fall into that trap of I've got to get a hit. You just got to continue to have good at bats. Make sure you swing at pitches you can handle. Been effective with that high fastball tonight. Got a lot of weak contact with that pitch. See how bold he's going to be on 2-0 to Bryant.
Pulled foul.
Take home a game used or autographed item and help benefit Cubs charities. Cubs Authentics is the premier outlet for all MLB authenticated Cubs memorabilia. The Cubs will donate net proceeds from the sale of Cubs Authentics to Cubs charities. Visit Cubs.com/authentics today. Good night for a snow cone.
In the air to left, and it will tie the game. His first of the second half. Chris Bryant makes a loud noise. That's the Cubs' first hit tonight.
Number 26 for Bryant. It comes on a breaking pitch. That stayed on the inner half. Down, but get toable for the big guy. Long levers, and he lifts that low breaking ball into the seats.
374 feet of Southwest Airlines. How far did it fly? One time he had led the National League in homers. He came in tied for third. Trevor Story with 27. Nolan Arenado with 26. Bryant with number 26, tying his career high, which was last year's rookie year. He hits him higher than most guys, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
Rizzo chops foul. Back to even, one apiece. Six homers. This is a Cubs 100th game this year. Rizzo to right, and it's Eaton. 2 down.
As the Cubs draw even, the Cardinals fall behind. Still kind of early to focus too much on the out-of-town scores, but they had a late lead, but 3 spot for the Mets in the bottom of the 7th to take a 4-3 lead. Cespedes went deep off of Adam Wainwright.
So it was a year ago tonight. Chris Bryant hit that dramatic game-ending homer off John Axford of the Rockies. Remember that one? Cubs were trailing 8-7 in the bottom of the 9th.
Yes, I remember it like it was yesterday.
Came a couple days after the Cubs were no hit by Cole Hamels.
Pitchers oftentimes make the mistake on what they perceive to be fastball counts of thinking they can get away with just any old breaking ball, but you leave it in the zone, you're asking for trouble with a guy like Bryant. Well, we'll see if that gets him on a little bit of a run. They tend to come in bunches for sluggers.
That's Cabrera to end the inning. Having some fun with the fans in the bleachers. Bryant has tied it up. The kickback to break. Bud Van Camp. JD's favorite new band, Yoko and the Onos. She Ain't Mine. 7th inning, it is a 1-1 tie. 1 strike on Deanna Navarro. Hamill back quickly. Swing and a miss. Charles Peanut Tillman is with us, making the rounds. just capped a great NFL career, and congratulations.
Thank
good
you.
to see you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
A lot of love in the room the last few days,
man.
huh?
I didn't know I was like that much, man. I used to feel so insignificant. Now yeah, it's cool, man. I really appreciate the love that the city, the White Sox, the Cubs, they've shown me, and just Bear fans in general. You know, it's been amazing.
Well, you are so good that you got to throw out the first pitch in Milwaukee, which is Packer territory. But I think they can like you because you're not playing against them anymore, right?
Yeah,
you're good.
A friend of mine, Kevin Spahn, invited me. He works for Northwestern Mutual. They have I think their headquarters is in Milwaukee.
Sure.
Yep. They have a suite, and with the suite came the first pitch, and he asked me if I'd like to throw it out. So I was like, sure. So why not? I've never been in that park, never thrown it out. You know, the first pitch in Milwaukee. How cool would that be, being a Bear guy?
Tyler Saladino takes a strike.
How long you guys been doing this?
This is my 12th year with the Cubs. JD's his 4th, but 20 years.
20 years, yeah.
Doing this. He pitched in the big leagues for 12.
I just don't know how you guys throw all the curve and the knuckle and the slider and the changer.
Were you working out when your first pitch? You trying to mix it up? Did anybody work with you down there?
No,
give me advice from anybody?
I threw it like a football, you know. Didn't really go so well for me.
Did you play any baseball as a kid?
You know what I did? I played baseball in the 4th grade. I got hit by a pitch, and I got mad because I couldn't hit the pitcher. It wasn't physical enough.
I thought you were going to say you decided to change to a less violent game.
I wanted like some Nolan Ryan action. Just, you know what I'm saying, throw the 1s and 2s on him. He got a mean left hook. Bam!
Called strike 3. That'll bring up the pitcher, Renato. Peanut. So, for those who don't know, and I don't actually know where that came from. Who dubbed Peanut on you?
My Aunt Renee.
Okay.
I came out of the womb. I just kind of popped out after 9 months. And my Aunt Renee looked at me and she goes, "You look like a peanut. Peanut. Hey, Peanut. Peanut. Peanut, put that back on the floor. Peanut, get in the kitchen. Peanut, go make it big." Yeah, that's his nickname. It sounded like Peanut. So I just been Peanut ever since.
I got you. That's a good story.
Yeah.
The peanut punch. We had one the other night. I think it might have been the night you threw out the first pitch. The pitcher actually went and tagged, was it Baez or Russell at the plate, and it looked like a football play.
I love it.
Yeah.
See, we need to bring the peanut punch to baseball. You know, if someone rushes the pitcher, he should just peanut punch him. Right. Nolan Ryan style. It's probably my favorite baseball play ever.
Don't mention Nolan Ryan around Robin Ventura.
Definitely. I will not make that mistake.
That's a strike. It's 2-2. All right, so
how are the vocal chops?
Yeah, we're a strike away from the stretch. You gonna be all right? Me, WB.
I've been watching a lot of WB with the frog.
All right, here we go.
Oh, sookie.
Time to sing. Peanut Tillman with a stretch.
Tonight's guest conductor from Take Me Out to the Ballgame, former Bears cornerback Charles Tillman. One, two, three. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I don't care if I ever go back. Let me root for the. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game.
7th inning stretch emphasized peanuts. Nicely done. Did you time him on game? The last
No,
note?
I didn't know he was going to go for it. Because we timed John Vincent, the anthem singer, and he does the free, holds that note. We got him at 18.76 seconds tonight.
Jason Hamill struck out the side in the top of the inning. And a 1-1 from Renato to Montero and a cut and a miss. 1-2.
Albers and Duke, ready lefty, warming for the Sox.
Backhanded play, Frazier, and the throw to first in time. He was the only guy over there, and he gets Montero.
Yeah, and it looked like Miggy maybe had a base hit, but a real nice play by Frazier. Able to get enough on that throw. It's Montero by a step.
Russell has come up with some huge hits here at Wrigley Field. His last 12 home games, 386, 6 doubles, 3 homers. Anderson will charge and get it. Well, we've got a lot of celebrities, sports celebrities here. We saw Dwayne Wade, Charles Peanut Tillman. And a big hand for former Bears quarterback Jim Harbaugh, Michigan coach. He's got his khakis on, and the connection between Harbaugh and Wade, you know what it is, right? His brother-in-law is Tom Crean, who coached Wade at Marquette.
And
Harbaugh's
a big baseball fan, a Tiger fan growing up. His dad was buddies with Gates Brown.
Curveball top of the zone on Hayward.
Harbaugh claims to have caught 20 foul balls over the years at Major League ballparks. How do you get to Wrigley Field? The Cubs suggest taking public transportation. They offer a free bike check that's located by the Addison Red Line station. If you drive your car, the Cubs provide free remote parking and shuttle service on night and weekend games. For information, visit the A to Z guide at Cubs.com.
One and two on Hayward. Hector Rondon, Cubs former closer and now setup guy.
Obviously, with the addition of Aroldis Chapman, they now have one of the better 1-2 punches in all of baseball with Hector and Chapman. Get into a tight game late. Joe Madden really likes his chances.
He walked him. There's a new closer. Chapman averaging 100 on his fastball. Recently hit 105. Baez, ball one. Check out the Lexus run predictor. 2 outs, a lot tougher to score. It's brought to you by your Chicago area and Northwest Indiana Lexus dealer.
With that in mind, the stolen base becomes an option, right? Because I got to believe this number goes up a decent bit. And you got Hayward on first base, capable of stealing a base. Mike Cooper, pitching coach, out with a chat. 17% for the Cubs with 2 outs and a man on second base.
So if you get to second, yeah, it goes up a little bit. Lexus run predictor.
Probably don't have too much of a book on Renato in terms of his ability to shut down the running game. Navarro has thrown out 20% this year. That's well below league average. And towards a little slide step there.
Dejuris Familia, his save streak ends at 52 in a row. Cardinals got to him in the ninth. They lead 5-4. Molina and Wong with run scoring doubles. 2 and 1 on Baez.
Remember earlier we had that conversation about hitters playing hunches. That was a sellout. He was sitting dead red there. Which it's okay. It's 2-0 count. Guess wrong. You still have a couple of strikes to play with. Stella out on deck to hit for Hamill.
Long pause in the stretch, a pitch. Baez fouls, and it's even 2-2. Three and 2 with 2 outs. See what Abreu does. At first, he's going to stay on the bag. The White Sox not expecting Baez to hit the ball on the ground to the right side. Hayward goes. Baez launches. Way back. Gone. 3-1.
The White Sox were right. He didn't hit the ball on the ground to the right side.
Number 11. What a big one for Baez.
Starts with 2 outs, nobody on. Hayward works the walk. Baez gets the breaking pitch in the zone, similar to Bryant. And celebration is on.
That'll be it for Renato. He's given up 2 hits tonight. And both have left the yard. And the curtain call for Baez. 3-1. We'll be back.
How far did it fly? The distance of this home run? 393 feet. Number 11 for Javi Baez. Some punch at the bottom of the batting order.
So Zach Duke, he has pitched now twice against the Cubs this week. Got an out, walked a batter on Monday. So it's interesting, and I think I'm guilty of it. I don't know if you would admit to it as well, but the way you assess a starting pitcher's performance, it oftentimes feels like it depends on how many runs that guy's team scores for him, right? So Jason Hamill, 7 innings, 5 hits, 1 run, can get the win tonight. He gave up a home run to the pitcher. He was terrific. But when it was 1-0 White Sox and the Cubs were getting no hit, it didn't quite feel that way, did it?
Yeah, well, I think a lot of it is just due to the frustration watching the Cub hitters struggle against Renato.
The other thing this lead does is it puts Joe Madden in his first position with his new closer. So you got Rondon ready for the 8th. And the plan would be Chapman in the 9th.
Yeah, and this is exactly why they acquired Chapman. The idea of meaningful games late in the season and then into the postseason to have a dynamic duo to shut teams down in games just like this one, because you anticipate playing low-run, tight games. Because just about everybody in the postseason has really good pitching.
Three and 2 on the pinch hitter Tommy La Stella. Lefty-lefty matchup. Nearly hit him. Ball 4.
MLB.TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, delivers everything you have come to expect and more. Watch every out-of-market game live in HD on over 400 supported devices. Includes a free subscription to At Bat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details.
Maybe it would be better put as a question to you as a former pitcher. When you were in games like this, and you were, quote, pitching well, but you were trailing, you didn't just sit in the dugout and go, I did my job. I mean, you wanted to have a lead when you left, right?
You wanted to have a lead. You wanted to stay in the game. You wanted to, you figured if you could outlast the other guy, you had a pretty good chance of picking up a win.
One and done for Duke, it appears. He has made the call. 3-1 Cubs in the 7th. quickly. Home runs tonight. Renato, first of his career, first hit of his career, in fact. Bryant tied it in the 6th inning. Baez giving the Cubs the lead here in the 7th. Start something special with a great deal on a Honda, now at your Honda dealer. The bespectacled Carson Fulmer, 22 years old, 8th overall pick in last year's draft. This is his 4th major league appearance.
Quick ascension to the big leagues for Carson Fulmer. He's not really tearing it up down at AA. 4-9 and 17 starts there with a 4.76 ERA.
Product of Vanderbilt from Winter Haven, Florida.
Vanderbilt turns out pitchers, don't they?
Yeah, they sure do. His teammate, shortstop Dansby Swanson, went 1st overall in that draft. Number 24, Walker Buehler.
Anyone?
Buehler went number 24.
A little Ryan Dempster thing going on. Got some funk in that delivery.
First player from last year's draft to make his major league debut. He pitched in the Futures game this year. Costello, the runner at first, a 1-2 to Fowler, and he may have gone. No, he didn't. He held up on appeal. Trip Gibson said so. Goes Fowler to first. Fair ball, and Abreu steps on the bag. This place was jumping as Javier Baez jumped all over this breaking ball, and the Cubs lead for the first time tonight. In the bullpen, your Mattress Firm grade 8 stat of the game. Yeah, he's thrown the 17th fastest pitches in baseball this season. They have a Chapman filter on StatCast on MLB.com. It's brought to you by Mattress Firm, where we want you to sleep happy, guaranteed. Remember, if it's over 8, it's time to replace. So in other words, if you want to see the fastest pitches in baseball, non-Chapman category, you can do that. Strike on Adam Eaton. So here's the 8th inning closer, Hector Rondon.
Because otherwise you'd just be scrolling through a whole bunch of Chapman pitches until you started to run into some other guys. Well, this guy's got a pretty good heater too. He takes over the 8th inning responsibilities.
Cardinals, with the 2 runs off Familia in the 9th, beat the Mets 5-4. So a win tonight would keep the Cubs 6.5 ahead of St. Louis. Pirates started the night 8 out. Garrett Cole with a complete game win. Anderson on the ground to Russell. Joe thinks that Rondon shifting to the 8th inning may expand his repertoire a little bit more. Felt like maybe he forced his fastball at times and was having success as the closer. But he thinks he has a chance to be even better and more effective.
Yeah, I think he thought there were times recently where Hector maybe tried to muscle up a little bit and overthrow. Instead of being free and easy, rely on velocity and movement.
Oh, we called that a strike.
But boy, hard to quibble with what Rondon has done so far this year as the closer.
That'll hold up for Ben Zobrist. That was a quick inning. Rondon with, I think, 7 pitches. Five-day suspension tomorrow night against John Lackey. Hawk and Stoney will have the call here on WGN tomorrow night. 3-1. Cubs have the lead. All the runs coming on home runs. Bryant just got hit by the first pitch. That'll bring Rizzo to the plate with a man on and nobody out. That elbow guard has come in handy.
Save you a trip to the DL. Well, props to Jason Hamill tonight. 7 innings, 5 hits, 1 run, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts, including striking out the side in the 7th. So he finishes his outing with a flourish. 3 outs away from win number 10.
Outside, ball 1. Looks like, is it Wilson Contreras catching Chapman? I think it is.
It is, yeah.
Yep. Good idea. Chad Noble, Franklin Font out there, but
yeah, got a new guy. You want to have your catchers see his stuff, get used to catching it, get a feel for the movement.
foul tip, 1-1. Two and 1 is the count actually. Two and 2. Foul into the stands near the Cubs bullpen. 41-166. A paid crowd tonight. Lined out in the left center. That will get Bryant to third. Rizzo went about halfway and put on the brakes. Long single. First and third, nobody out.
Cubs looking to do to Chapman what they did to Rondon so often early in the year. Take away that save opportunity by playing add-on late. They get plenty of chances. Would love to add on here, and they're in great shape. First and third for Zobrist.
White Sox will play for 2 up the middle. Frazier pulled in. Abreu holding on Rizzo at first. And stares for a ball.
That's interesting that they would play for 2. Down 2 runs in the bottom of the 8th.
It's Jacob Turner, the former Cub.
With Aroldis Chapman warming up. Don't you think you have to do everything you can to cut off every last run at this point in the ball game?
Yeah, it kind of feels that way. hit the 2-1. Now 3 balls and a strike. Well, whether it's a safe spot or not, Chapman's pitching. If they score 10, maybe not, but I think Joe wants to get him in.
Yeah, he hasn't been out there in a while. So, yeah, he's in there no matter what.
High drive, well hit, and it is off the wall. Bryant scores. Rizzo to third. It's a double, and it's 4-1. Shuck went awkwardly into that wall. He got a glove on the ball, and a little shaken up.
Yeah, it can be difficult out there with the basket, obviously the brick wall and the ivy, but he starts to drift after this ball. Of course, goes down and imparts pretty good backspin on that low fastball and drives it almost out of the ballpark. So Shuck not quite sure where he is on the track, how much room he has. This is the ball runs into the brick wall anyway. Oh, shucks.
Ball 1 to Montero. Infield generally in, although up the middle they're back a few steps than normal. Assuming, I guess, that they'll still have time to throw to the plate if Rizzo takes off on contact.
Yeah, by playing halfway in, they force him to read the ball off the bat. With nobody out in this situation, highly unlikely he would be moving on contact. So it's a read situation for Anthony. If they're all the way back, that becomes a very easy read. He's just going to go on a ground ball to the middle of the diamond. Shying away from contact here.
They're loaded. Looks like we'll see former Cub Jacob Turner when we come back in the 8th.
What if I told you my city was the best, and my city was a threat to the rest? This city is my city, it's my city, love it, I love it, yeah. I was born and raised here, I got it made here, and if I had
been a fun one tonight. The Cubs have a 3-run lead, and they have 3 on with nobody out against a former teammate, Jacob Turner. He spent the entire year last year on the Cubs disabled list with a sprained flexor tendon in his right arm.
6 starts for the Cubs in 2014, made 2 starts for the White Sox this year. Neither one went well, so that's why Renato got the call tonight. Turner working out of the bullpen. Chance to blow it wide open.
There's the 1-0 to Russell. Deep left center. Grand slam time. Eight to 1.
Guess that qualifies as wide open. Home run number 12 for Addison Russell. First time he has cleared the bases with a long ball. Give him 60 runs driven in now. Little 2-seam fastball drifting over the heart of the plate. Kapow. And fans want to see Russell head up the steps.
Southwest Airlines, how far did it fly? 402 feet, 100 feet for every RBI. They have turned on the power tonight.
No hit for 5 1/3. So that trend continued here tonight of not doing damage against starting pitchers, and that's also been a recent trend. Obviously not yesterday when they were shut out, to do some damage late, and boy, have they ever done a lot of damage late here tonight.
First career grand slam for Russell. Little flare, shallow right, base hit. You deserve it, Jason. It's been a rough go. That's for that liner to the warning track that was caught. So the 4th grand slam of the year for the Cubs. Bryant, Caesar, Baez, and now Russell. Chapman just kind of wandering around in the bullpen right now. It will not be a safe spot in the 9th. A bona fide player of the game, Javier Baez, with the go-ahead home run. Wrap your hands around the official Italian beef of the Chicago Cubs, one of the 19 Bona locations. The air flies to Eaton. That is a first out. 7th batter of the inning.
No doubter. You could tell by his reaction he knew he had crushed it. I believe not too many minutes ago I said this is exactly the reason why you acquire Aroldis Chapman for games like this. Well, not so much anymore.
Look, if you go back to Mariano Rivera, Wade Davis, And just how many games those guys pitch in the regular season, kind of a percentage of team games, and then go to the playoffs. Because of the way the schedule is built in the postseason, those dominating closers can pitch a lot more often. You mentioned it the other night. The Chapman deal really was not about the regular season. It's about if the Cubs can get to October. You can use that guy almost every night.
Yeah, it makes them a better team in the regular season by a little bit, not a whole lot. But it's that potential postseason ability to shorten games where the real value comes. Quiet night for Dexter so far. Nothing for 3 and a walk.
Ninth batter of the inning. Postseason has, I mean, everyone's trying to figure out how do you build a postseason club, and there's only so much you can do to give yourself just a little bit of an edge. And in this day and age of specialization and fireballing relievers, shortening the game is what it's all about. Cubs have faced Chapman a lot over the years. His time as a Cincinnati Red. When they got to him, it felt like a big surprise, didn't it?
Yeah, I think that's the case with just about all closers. You know, I mean, the job description is come in and give me 3 outs, usually without giving up multiple runs. Rarely is it a 1-run game. But what makes guys like Chapman stand above the rest is the level of dominance, the save percentage, how many times he just goes out there and completely shuts people down.
36 career games against the Cubs, 20 saves, 65 strikeouts in 37 innings. So he wasn't perfect. Gave up 1 home run against the Cubs. 3-2 swing and a miss. The Chapman debut in the ninth. When we come back, Cubs extended the lead, took a save spot away from the newcomer. 8-1.
As long as you live, someone who loves you tender like I do.
Aroldis Chapman making his Chicago Cubs debut. Chats with his new battery mate. Matt Caesar stays in the game in center for Fowler.
20 out of 21 in saves this year for Chapman. 3-0 with a 2.01 ERA. Strikeout numbers are actually down this year. So are the walk numbers. Average fastball velocity a little better than 100 miles per hour. Also a slider and occasionally a changeup.
As he and Jose Abreu, born in Cuba. 101 for a strike. If you're wondering, the only Cub to have homered off Chapman was Addison Russell in a blowout game last August. Late on 101.
Yeah, and the advanced metrics now, they do this perceived velocity number, where they take guys with, with extension, they take that into account. So his perceived velocity is actually a little better than 101.
6'4", 215. Signed with the Reds originally 2010. He'll be a free agent after the season. 4-time All-Star.
Great extension.
There was a time a few years ago, and there was some talk about maybe stretching him out as a starter with the Reds. He has never started at this level. Swing and a miss. Strike three. We're talking to people who know him over the years. They said he likes closing games. He likes hitting 100 on that radar gun.
Well, it's a high adrenaline job, obviously, and when you can throw the ball as hard as he does, he kind of comes in there with that king of the hill mentality.
I think there's an assumption that most guys want to be starters, but he really enjoys this role. Now his former Reds teammate, Todd Frazier.
Kind of a fun little factoid. Chapman, the hardest thrower in the game. Bartolo Colon, whose average fastball velocity is about 87, 88 miles an hour, actually throws a higher percentage of fastballs than does Chapman.
That is low. A lot of people tweeting, hey, Zobrist homered off him as a Royal. Yeah, we showed the highlight last night. In Cincinnati last year, it was a game tire. So he is 1 for 1 in his career against his new teammate. Swing and a miss. 2-2.
With every delivery, every eye in the ballpark out to the message board to see the velocity reading.
Going in. Missed the target, but 103. And sometimes when you miss your spot, that's okay. When you throw that hard, it does not make the hitter particularly comfortable, I would think. Not that I'd ever like to get in there and find out myself.
He could give you all kinds of body armor.
Ground ball, it's Russell. 2 gone. Avisail Garcia will bat for Shuck. You did not try to hit 103 for a living, but the advice would be gear up and start early.
Yeah,
right?
and if I were Garcia, I would have said, I'm good, Skip. I don't need to pinch hit. I'm good.
Well, I think the other thing is some guys come in and they swing really hard, but
yeah, you just got to be quick. You got a shorter path. You're just going to try to be quick. I'm guessing J.B. Shuck a little banged up after hitting the wall out there. Or maybe just Robin didn't want to send a left-handed hitter up there. It's not a lot of fun either. It's our first look at Garcia, isn't it, in these 3 games?
It is.
Chapman has not pitched since the 23rd. Well, this outing here tonight will not preclude him from working tomorrow. Reminds me a little bit of the story Norm Cash used to tell way back in the day about facing Nolan Ryan, and went up to hit against him one time with a leg he had broken off the training table. He had no chance. Umpire didn't let him do it, but
everybody up with 2 outs and 2 strikes.
you know you're throwing hard when not only do you throw it by the hitter, but you almost throw it by the catcher.
Cubs win. Chapman in his Cub debut goes 1-2-3 with 2 strikeouts. Addison Russell put this one out of reach with a grand slam. Chapman threw nothing but 100 on his fastball here in this 9th inning. Probably a little amped up.
Yeah, I would think, you know, with all the experience he has in the high leverage situations, all-star games and everything else, but new club, jam-packed ballpark, high expectations. I'm sure there was a little extra surge of adrenaline tonight. A lot of drama early in this game. The Cubs could not generate any offense at all. But
yeah, this was an 8-1 game, but
yeah,
it didn't feel like a blowout at all as they pulled away late. On the field. Go ahead, Dan.
All right, guys, thanks very much. Javi Baez hit the big home run, the go-ahead homer. You guys had 1 hit off Ronaldo to that point. You really had a battling at bat there too, Javi. What'd you hit for the home run?
Curveball. You know, they've been throwing me a lot of curveballs in the sun and out of the sun, and I've been patient, but they've been getting me out. So I was just sitting on it again in 3-2, and he threw it to me.
You got it pretty hard, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
You know, we were talking in the clubhouse to Montero and some other guys about hitting being contagious. I think maybe you popped the lid off it there with that home run, because in the next inning, you guys are going crazy out there.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously, we didn't get any hits, and with one hit, we tied the game. And you know, we're not gonna give up. Like I said before, we're not gonna give up. They're gonna have to take us 27 outs, and you know, we're gonna play hard.
One more. Tell me the truth. You're tired of losing to the White Sox?
No, I mean, we're gonna do our best to beat them and anybody who play against us.
All right, man. Congratulations.
Thank
Nice
you.
job tonight. Javi Baez, big go-ahead home run there in the 7th inning as the Cubs win it 8-1 here over the White Sox tonight.
60 up, 40 down through 100. Do the math. 62 to go. 8-1 Cubs the final.